Welcome to Component.Studio. My name is JT. Component.Studio is basically a tool where you take an image editor, cross it with a spreadsheet, and it allows you to do amazing things with regard to making your components for your games. So you can design a single card, token, tile, or chit, and then the system will automatically design the next 100 for you. And it does that by populating the images with data from your spreadsheet. It's a very advanced tool, but it's about to be even more advanced. This video is about Component.Studio 2. If you'd like to learn about Component.Studio 1, go to Component.Studio in your web browser. So with that, let's talk about Component.Studio 2. Specifically, this is Designer Diary number 16, I think it is. We are talking about a myriad of changes since the last video, so I thought I would just get right into it. There's all kinds of different things going on, and I would love your feedback about any of it as you're watching this. So if you have any thoughts, please leave them in the comments. I would really appreciate that feedback. Okay. So one thing that I have done is I made this toolbar kind of stretch rather than just wrapping. It kind of stretches itself across. An easy way to show you that, based on the screen size, an easy way to show that is to turn off toolbar labels. And now you can see that it's stretching across the entire screen. And same thing, if I go back into the preferences area and I turn the toolbar labels back on, it's stretching. That first row, it can fit basically all in there, and then the extra stuff that's wrapped is stretching across. Let me know if you like it. I found it to be much nicer on my phone when I'm playing with that. I actually like it on my desktop as well, but it's just a little bitty thing. Let's get into some more interesting things. So the first thing is that there is a massive speed boost in loading. So this loading time here, you can see what's going on down at the bottom. After I had been adding a bunch of features and whatnot, I added 100 rows of data to this, so that'd be 100 cards or 100 tiles or whatever. And it was starting to get a little slow just doing the initial load. Not the overall usage was still relatively fast, but it was taking about 15 seconds to do that initial load. And specifically just the part right here where it said rows, that was taking about 15 seconds alone. And now you can see that it was less than a second. And this is on my very fast, very expensive laptop. So now it's down to less than a second. I also started playing around with my wife's 2013 MacBook Air. It's only got 4 gigs of RAM. It's an 8-year-old computer. And it is blazing even on that. I was really shocked at how well Component.Studio is performing now with these performance tweaks that I've just added in. So no matter what kind of computer you have, it should work pretty well. Obviously, bandwidth will be your biggest constraint, internet connectivity. Okay, moving on. Simple. In the last video, we talked about tables, simple table and advanced table. Let's go to the back here, and let's put in a simple table. I changed these buttons here to be green so that they stand out where you're going to add stuff. So if you wanted to create a new layer group, or if you want to add something to a layer group, now they're green. I just think it stands out better, makes it easier for a newcomer to know where they should be looking. Anyway, so the green button here, I'm going to add a simple table. And again, I showed you this last time, but I've made a couple of enhancements. The first of which, let's just put in like A and B, C, D, E, and F. Okay, so you can see that there's some text in each of these. And you can do more advanced things with icons and whatever. We have icons, heart. Let's go ahead and paste that in there. So now you can see that I've put a heart into there. Okay, so that you saw last time. But one of the things we talked about last time was what happens, or should we keep around the simple table and the advanced table? And the feedback was overwhelmingly yes. Lots of people could see uses for both, so we're going to keep those. But one of the things that came up in the feedback was that it might be possible where you start with a simple table and you realize that's not going to be good enough anymore, and you're going to need an advanced table. So I created this little button right here, which converts a simple table into an advanced table. And how that works is you just click that, and it goes through and creates all the elements for you. So I have all of my pieces right here. This is the original table still, so I could turn that off if I want to. But the idea is, again, just that all of the different pieces of the table are put into place so that you get yourself the table that you're looking for. So now I can delete this, and I've got my table right there. So this has now been converted into an advanced table. You could keep around the simple table and then delete the advanced table too. That's why I created it as a copy. That way I'm not messing with your existing one in case you decide you want to go back. You cannot convert an advanced table back into a simple table because the advanced table has so many more features than the simple table, so there's no way to go back. But you can easily go in that one direction. So that's, I think, a pretty good thing. So while we're talking about tables, let's talk about table shared attributes. So we've got, you can see that, table cells in advanced tables, they have these extra subroutines here, these functions that allow it to call a cell and get the left or the top or the width or whatever. So that's how it's placing these individual table cells. But one of the things that I've added is all of the text formatting options from the simple table are now here in the advanced table. And what that allows us to do is now we can actually format the advanced table similarly to a simple table because from one place I can change everything. And how I'm doing that is if we go up here and look at the cell, I'm actually pulling the cell value for the default style in this case, or the one we just used here was horizontal alignment. So I've got my right there. I'm pulling in the horizontal alignment. And the cool thing is, then again, like I said, you can control that from your table, but beyond that, you can actually control the position or the individual cells separately. So, for example, maybe for all the cells except for this one right here, we want to have that. Centered, but for whatever reason we want the left one, this first cell here to be left justified. So now I can still do that with that particular cell because the advanced table allows for individual cells to be set up however you want them. So that's pretty cool that you get all of the features of the simple table in the advanced table now. It's just that the advanced table, is much more complicated because every cell is its own layer. So I think that's pretty cool. Let me know what you're thinking. If there's anything that I missed along with that, go ahead and play with it in the demo. By the way, there's a link in this video to the demo. So try this out. Tell me what you think about those shared attributes. Now, one of the things people noticed in the last video with the advanced table is that I added, let me actually just do it here, table cells. So right over B1 there, I'm just going to add an image. And by default, it is adding that over the top of that other cell, right? So we talked about that you, with the advanced tables, you can have multiple layers in a single cell. So I've added this image here, and again, by default, it's going to put the CS logo there, Component.Studio logo. But one of the things people noticed was when I rotated that, like so, you can see how the letter, or I'm sorry, how the boundaries of the cell are violated. And if I turn this off, they are no longer violated. And so what's going on there is that, you know, when you rotate something, in the case of this logo, it's not quite square. It's, you know, it's kind of, it's wider than it is tall. And so it'll fit, you know, when it's rotated to be like this, it fits in the cell. But when you rotate it back up something like this, it won't fit height-wise. So this is called a clipping mask, or in Component.Studio terms, I just called it overflow. And so I have a cell here that is hide overflow, or a field there. And again, by default, this is pulling in from the table, so that you can set on the whole table whether or not to hide the overflow of a cell. Now I can just turn that off if I actually do want it to overflow. And so now you have this this really cool, like I said, clipping mask or overflow that you can turn on and off. And by the way, that works not just in tables, but everywhere. So I'll give you an example here. Let's go up to the body, art, and I'll do the same kind of situation where we're rotating, and we'll rotate this guy right here, so that again, that is, now you can see way up here into the title, and I'll turn that off. Now it's still up there, but if I go down here to advanced and hide overflow, now you can see that it gets clipped off. And the reason it's still up on that a little bit is because I actually have the position of this to be, if we look here, -50 of the bottom of that layer up there. So it's actually pulling itself up into that layer, because our overall is -10 in that direction for the calculated value. So anyway, so that's that. That's what clipping does for you, or hiding overlay, or I'm sorry, hiding overflow. It has other uses as well. So, for example, let's go ahead and edit the title here. And this time, instead of doing a rotation, you were seeing where that would overflow. You can have text overflow. So actually, let me go lorem ipsum. There we go. Let's go to a lorem ipsum generator here. I'll just grab a bunch of text right here, like so, and we'll paste that into the title field here. So I'm going to paste that whole thing. Oh my God, look at all that. So that's way too much text for that field. So, you know, it's overflowing the original bounds. So the original bounds is 675 wide and 200 tall. So I can say, well, I don't want it to ever flow outside of whatever bounds I've defined. So I can just come up here, and now it will stick to the bounds that I have defined. There are lots of uses for that. One of them is to use text as a decoration. So for example, maybe I want to make this a background and make it like fancy and rotated and, you know, something like that. So now it's, ooh, fancy, you know. Anyway, so there's all kinds of cool stuff that you can do with overflow boundaries, and I thought you might find that fascinating. So that's in now, and that's pretty cool. I'm going to go ahead and reset here because I've got too much crazy stuff that I've done. You might have noticed as I was playing around in here that I have added in some little helpers on these unit fields here. So not for everything, but let's go down here to, let's skip text formatting, let's skip position, text size. Okay, on advanced here, you can see both types. So for example, I have the render this layer. Well, just here, I can flip these on and off using this little switch that's right here. So I could go in and hit this here to do it, but for this kind of simple thing, it's way faster to just do it right there. So I've added in those kind of things. Same thing goes for if there's an enumerated list. So in this case, let's turn that back on. Blend mode is a good example of an enumerated list. So if I come in here, I've got this list of things that I can choose from, right? Same thing goes right here. I've got the enumerated list right there. So if I want that to multiply and do that funky thing, I can select it from right here. I don't actually have to go in here. Now I still have my cheater right there. I can still type in formulas. I can still use all of the shortcuts to do all of those things. But I've just got these quick little cheaters right on these field types. I may do more of these. Tell me what you think. I think they're pretty cool. It's, speeds up development time. But, for some things like, percentage, it might be easy to have like a little button there with a slider that goes back and forth or something of that nature. I don't know. Some of them, like pixels for like the position, there's nothing I can do there that's going to be better than going in here, because that's probably going to be set by a formula. So some of these, probably nothing that I'm going to do. Some of them, maybe there's something to do. So we'll see how it goes, but let me know what your thoughts are on that. Okay, let's move on to another little requested feature that we had on one of the YouTube videos. That is, if we go up here to styles, it shows, when you're looking at any of these, it shows, what does the style look like. And it uses the word example, but somebody wanted to be able to type in their own text. So I'll change that to foobar, and now I've got foobar. So you can, and that works on, any / all of them. So you have your example text. If you want to type in your own text, you can now do that. Okay. Another feature request from one of the YouTube videos was, we talked about images last time, and how there's a way to maintain aspect ratio on the images now. So let's hide all this and just show the size. I can hide advanced now too. So on images, there's this extra field here now. The rest of this looks like, every other size field for every other type of component, or layer, I should say. But on this one, we've got this new maintain aspect ratio. So before I had a little cheater where you'd type in 0 in one of these fields and it would maintain the aspect ratio. People thought that was a little too programmery, which I agree with. So now you can have the maintain aspect ratio to stretch, and then let me just copy this out of here and say 100 tall, something like that. So see, it'll stretch to be whatever I want it to be. However, you can now use these to maintain the aspect ratio. So if I maintain it proportional to the width that is set here, then it'll go right back to being the right size. If I make it proportional to the height, so then you'll see this field up here is switched, and so now it's making it still the right aspect ratio. It's that square that it was, but it's making it small to the 100 pixel height. So this just makes it a little easier to understand without being like this kind of programmery cheat for you. So let me know if that's solved. I forget. There are a couple people that asked for that, and I'm forgetting who they are right off the top of my head. But if you were one of them, let me know. Did I just solve the question that you were bringing up? Okay, and now we get to the big change. So all these have been just little things since the last video. Now we get into the main thing that I've been working on besides performance, which is the dataset editor. I figured it was time to fully flesh out the dataset editor. The only thing I'm missing right now for it is import and export of CSV data, but and Google spreadsheet integration. Those things may wait until we actually get to a real app rather than the playground. But there was a lot of improvement that could be done, and this all was sparked by a request from the ideas system. And here we go. So what this is, I have turned the dataset editor into effectively a spreadsheet. So it's it's pretty damn cool. You have all of these spreadsheet type features. So for example, let's just go down the list. If I go 1, 2, I can just go right down the list here and edit these fields. I'm just hitting enter after each field and filling in stuff. So you don't actually have to double click into it, like a form field or whatever. You can, but you can just click on it and start typing, and you're good to go. So that's one thing that makes it like a spreadsheet. It does have enter. If you hit enter, you're going down like so, and if you hit tab, you're going across. So that works just like a spreadsheet. And so if you want to enter some data, I go hit tab, enter some data. Oh, did I give it a bad? Okay. We'll have to fix that bug, but you get the idea. So we're hitting tab, we're going across. You can also use arrow keys to move yourself around on the spreadsheet. So that just works just like a spreadsheet. Another thing you can do that's just like a spreadsheet is like you're saying maybe you're creating a new row of data here and you just want these 3 fields right there to go onto these fields right here. I can highlight that area and hit paste, and now I've pasted in all of that data across all of these things. And something has gone terribly wrong because that should be updating my my image on each of these things. I don't know if I broke something a minute ago when I was let's just reload here. This is brand new, so it needs more testing for sure. Let's copy and paste this and see if this fixes it. There we go. So I must have broken something before when I had that error message come up. So anyway, so you can copy and paste like that. You can copy and paste like this, and you'll see that it's going through and fetching each of those and making sure that they all go in. So I can copy and paste a whole bunch of stuff to a whole bunch of stuff very easily. Another thing that you can do is you can move columns around. So let's say I wanted this image field to be ahead of that. I just click on it, I go up to the top here and hold my mouse over there, and you can see it has that little grabby hand. So now I grab onto that and drag, and now I can move that over here. So I'm moving it between things. Now, of course, not everybody's going to realize how to do that, and also dragging in that manner doesn't really work on touch devices like a phone. So I still have these drop-down menus here. So if I want to move this one back to where it was, I'll just move the column to the right. And there you go. So pretty straightforward, pretty simple. You can also use drag and drop to resize columns. So for example, I want this wider, like so. I can resize the width on the columns. And so, it makes things look a little nicer. You can do, all of that stuff however you want to do it. It all works great. Now, another thing that you might want to do is filtering data. Like if you got 100 rows of data like I do here, and there was actual data in there rather than these auto-generated rows that I've put in here, then you might want to be able to filter on stuff. So love actually, let's put in here, right? So now if I go up here to filter, and I filter by condition, and we type in begins with, and I type begins with love. Oh, it's not working now. I don't know why. Let's see. Let's do a different filter, because obviously I've done something wrong. Is not empty. We'll filter on that. There we go. So now I'm only showing the rows where the column or the description column is not empty. And to undo that, I can just go back to none and hit OK. And so you can do some basic filtering to get to the rows of data in your data set that you're interested in editing in that, at this time, whatever it is. Let's see. I also have frozen the first three columns here, this button column, quantity, and name. And so that means that those will stay there regardless of whether or not, or while you're scrolling these other ones. So I can do this sort of thing. And that way you can always see the name, and you can always still duplicate or delete the row, that sort of thing. It's makes it a little bit better for editing your data when you've got a lot of columns to deal with. I've even replicated in the cells. You've probably already seen that, but so this isn't quite the same. When you're out here looking at one of these and you've got a field, you've got this cool little thing and whatever. So I can go into the image and you can see the image, and you've got this button which opens up this side panel. I still wanted you to have this side panel, so I've kind of replicated it, but in a way that fits into the spreadsheet. So again, if I go back over here to Dataset, and we've got all this up here, I've fit, it's a smaller version, but that button is there, and the image is there. And like if you added a column, let's add a color column. I'll just call it color, I guess. So now I go over here, I've got this color column, it's showing you the color as well. So if I come in here and make that one red, you can now see, that it's previewing it as red. So it doesn't have all of the bells and whistles of the other version. For example, those little quick buttons, if this was a boolean where it's true or false back and forth, I don't have a quick selector, and I can't for those kind of things, because form controls like that actually eat up a bunch of resources and make, if you replicate it times 100 rows or 1,000 rows or however many you might have in here, the more of those kinds of controls that you have rendered into each of these cells, the slower and slower the whole thing is going to get. So I have to be very careful about what little helpers that I put in here, but I thought at least for images and colors, it was going to be beneficial to have that little helper there to kind of give you an idea of what it is that this field is being calculated to. I also, likewise, I don't have tooltips on all of these like you do. Like if I come back out here, if I mouse over any of these fields, you can see this black box that shows up here. So even though there's a formula in there, you can see the tooltip, which is what the calculated value is. Now, if you go in here, there is a calculated value field, so you can actually see that. So the same thing applies when you go into your data set. You can't see it out here, because if I put tooltips on, right now we're at like 10 columns by 100 rows, so that's 1,000 cells, that's 1,000 tooltips in the thing. That slows the whole thing down. So instead, you just click into that button, and you've got the calculated value right there. So it's you don't have it, you don't have the calculated value at your fingertips. However, there's usually a lot less formulas in a data set than there are out in the layers. So it's probably not that big of a deal. Okay, and the last thing to show you with this new spreadsheet style editor for the data set is that I've actually added in a context menu here as well. So if I type in blah, blah, blah I could undo that if I made a mistake. So I can right click and undo. And if I decide, oh, I really meant that, I can redo. So you can, your last change there, you have a little bit of an undo if you happen to make a mistake. You also still have the history fields for cells. So I've got my history here. I can see what's been typed in here. So, you still have those that you can use as well. But I thought, since it was easy to do, we'll just put a little undo right there for that. Just little, niceties to quality of life improvement type stuff. So, that is it for this video. I hope you have liked all of the little things that I showed you. If you have any thoughts on any of this or anything else as I've been going through here, please leave your thoughts in the comments, no matter what platform this is posted to. I'm reading all the comments. I'm responding to most of them. Some are just like, yeah, this is cool, and then I love that, but I don't usually reply to those because what am I going to say? Yeah, I think so too. But I usually do give a like or a heart or whatever the particular platform has when those show up. So please do tell me if you are liking everything, but also if you have thoughts on tweaks that should be done or stuff that you didn't like or that sort of stuff. Let me know that as well. Again, go play around with the demo. All of this that I just showed you is up on the demo site. So you can, there's a link in the description of the video that will get you to the demo site. So you can play around with this and tell me what your real experience is when you're playing with it. Does it work for you? Are you liking what you're seeing? So I guess that's it. So see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.